Oh, yeah. Is it Tuesday already? Okay. Jedi 3, the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, has finally received an update from Cameron Monaghan himself. The man, the myth, the legend who plays Cal Kestis has finally given us an update. And is it good news? Is it bad news? Well, I'll let you guys decide as we go through it. And the Mandalorian trilogy, which we've been talking about for the last couple weeks, is all but confirmed in my mind, and we'll talk about that as well, and some Andor season 2 stuff too, and just of course all other Star Wars news, because this is where the fun begins. This is it. This is where it begins. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? How's everybody doing? Yeah. So Jedi 3 updates. Finishing off the trilogy, and as we're talking about trilogies, might as well talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu trilogy, because that's got some news about it too. And if we're talking trilogies, might as well talk about one of the greatest trilogies of all time. And no, I'm not talking about the originals. No, I'm not talking about the prequels. And I'm definitely not talking about the sequels. I'm talking about Andor Season 1, Andor Season 2, and Rogue One. Because Andor Season 2 just keeps on getting more news, even though it ended a month ago. So how's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? What's up, chat? Should we just do the rest of the stream from right here? Yeah? Seems nice. Let's say hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? Hang on, let's open up the chat. Why can't I open up chat? Okay, hang on. Let me open up the chat. Oh, I didn't start the poll? That's why. Okay. Did you smash a like? Let's start that poll up. I'm behind today, chat. I'm behind. Yes or no? Let's fix that. Okay. Start the poll. Okay, let's say hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? Mike, what is up? WV Grad in the house. Haja, how we doing? Brandon Baker, what is up? Cleve Morris in the house. Steve, what is up? Thanks for reminding me, Steve. We will try to do Collins today. That guy B, what is up? Kyler, how we doing? 50 Thunder in the house. B-Man, how we doing? Ron, what is up? Poppy Cotton Adventures, nice name. How we doing? Dave, what is up? Robert, how we doing? Erica in the house. Droopy McCool, of course, is here. Chris, how we doing? Darth Plagueis lives, what is up? Trent, how we doing? Mando United in the house. Okay, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little,
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, so I think we got to start here with the. Actually, I don't know where to start. Can we start with the Mando trilogy stuff or the other trilogy, the Jedi trilogy? Are we calling it a Jedi trilogy? Jedi 3 sounds wrong to me. I don't know why, but Jedi 3 is that what we're calling it? I guess that makes sense because it's Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. Is it Jedi 3? I guess we'll call it Jedi 3 for now. That makes sense. It makes sense. Cal Kestis game number 3, the third installment of the Cal Kestis games. What the heck just happened? Chat? What was that? Did you guys see that? Jedi the third Jedi? Jedi 3, somehow the third Jedi returned? Cal Kestis Adventures number 3? Cal, the trial of the wills of as told by the wills of the Starkiller Luke Skywalker.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Okay, so I think we should start with, what do I have first? Let's see. I have Mando trilogy stuff first as my first article. So let's start there. Seems like a logical explanation. The Mandalorian and Grogu trilogy. So last stream, we actually talked about this a little bit, but we talked about how the new rumor from Daniel RPK is that if the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is a success, if it's a box office hit, which we assume it will be, then it will be turned into a trilogy. We talked about the pros and cons of that. Yes, you don't want to lock yourself into 3 movies if the first one fails miserably, but also the con side of things. Fans like to get hyped up for a trilogy. This is Star Wars. We work in trilogies. So if The Mandalorian and Grogu will be the beginning of a new trilogy, think about how hyped you were for The Phantom Menace, or how hyped you were for The Force Awakens. That's the hype we want in the Star Wars fandom. So that's sort of the conversation we had last stream. Now we got to talk about this even more because now more people are talking about it. More people are writing articles. It's the topic of conversation. And we got to talk more about this possible Mando trilogy. So first things first, before we even talk about this article, let's put up a poll in the chat. A real poll this time, not just smash a freaking like, because if you haven't done that already, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Do you want a Mando... What? Oh, sorry. Mando trilogy? Yes or no? Yes or no? Scream test. 50 Thunder with the very generous $2 holla. I appreciate that, Scream test. I appreciate it. Super chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here. I appreciate that. Anthony says, hey, Mike, how hot is it where you are residing? It's 101 degrees over here in the Northeast. I am also in the East. I'm a day away from finishing SOTE. SOTE. Stop Other Titans Explosion. I don't know what that means. Then I will start Trial of the Jedi. Nice. Nice. You'll have to see that. You'll have to see that. I don't know what SOTE is, though. Oh, how hot is it where I am? Yeah, I think it's 100 today. 99? Maybe something like that. It's really hot. I just got out of the shower. I took a cold shower, and it was fantastic. But it's really, really hot today. Yeah. So if any of you guys are in an area where it's really, really hot, stay inside. Air conditioning. Put on sunscreen. Life Lessons by Mike. I'll start a new channel. I'll call it Life Lessons by Mike. Can anybody guess what my shirt is? Can anybody guess the shirt today? Just from just from what you can see. Okay. Yes. Try not to melt. Where were we? Oh, Mando trilogy. Yes. Okay. So the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, if it is a box office success, which by the way, it seems like it's going to be. Tell me in the chat. Do you think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out next May will make over $1 billion? Yes or no? Yes or no? Over or under $1 billion? Now, let me remind you that the 5 Star Wars movies that Disney has made in the Disney era of Star Wars, of those 5 movies, 4 of them have made over $1 billion. The only one that didn't was Solo, a Star Wars story. Rogue One did, and all 3 Star Wars sequel trilogy movies did as well. So, over or under? You tell me. Oh, wow, we're actually really split here. Over, yes, over, yes, over, under, over. Almost certainly over $1 billion. That's what I was thinking, but I don't know. I see a bunch of unders in the chat. I see a bunch of unders. Huh. Interesting. I think it's over, and probably by a lot. We looked at the graph. What the hell was that? Something behind my screen just fell down. What is going on today, chat? What? Oh, I just revealed my shirt. Damn it. What was that? I don't know what that was, but my shirt, yeah, it's awesome. The bottom says, who invited this guy? Who invited him, I should say. Okay. I don't know what just fell, but hopefully it wasn't anything important. Okay. Over under, yes. Over under $1 billion. Let's not forget, we just looked at the graph for the numbers for the Disney Plus shows, and The Mandalorian is all the way up here, and pretty much everything else is all the way down here, other than Kenobi. And that's because it's Obi-Wan and Anakin for Darth Vader. So The Mandalorian is by far their most popular brand, their most popular characters. So it would make a lot of sense that this movie would make over $1 billion. And if that's not enough, it's got Grogu, not just in the movie, but in the title. And Grogu's everywhere. Look down, he's on your shirt right now. He's not on my shirt today, but he's around. He's right there. Duh. So yeah, Grogu is quite the ticket salesman. And I think a lot of people are going to bring their kids to go see Grogu and then go see the Star Wars movie and realize it's incredible. or they're just going to go see the movie because it's a Star Wars movie. The Force Awakens made $2 billion. More than that, actually. And that's just from being a Star Wars movie. Plain and simple. So, I think easily the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will make $1 billion. But if it's good, if it's like a really good movie, if the word of mouth gets out that this movie's the blockbuster hit of the summer next year, it could make way more than that. Like you're talking close to $2 billion, if not $2 billion. The Force Awakens could make $2 billion, and this movie's better than that. There's no reason it shouldn't. Grogu is more of a pull than any character in the sequel trilogy. I guess Luke, Leia, Han, OGs. That's a little bit different. But even still, Grogu and Din Djarin have a fan base. They have the biggest fan base on Disney Plus right now, and they're moving to the big screen. So I think it's well over $1 billion. But we shall see. We shall see. Take a screenshot of the chat right now. And remember if you said over or under, we'll come back in a year and we'll see where we're at. 1 year from today, we will know if you are right or wrong. $3 billion. That'd be crazy. Okay. It wouldn't be surprising to me, though, if the first ever movie to make $3 billion would be a Star Wars movie. I know $3 billion is like insanity, but we shall see. Okay. Oh, I missed another super chat. I Hodge with a very generous $2 holla. I appreciate that. Another scream test. I appreciate it. Wait, what the heck? Okay, never mind. I don't know what the hell's going on today, chat. I don't know what's going on. Oh my God, another super chat? Who keeps sending me money? God. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $5 holla. Says, okay, Mando trilogy, yes. Cal Kestis live action, yes. Okay. But when? Much love. Well, Darth Plagueis, I'm going to have to ask you to put a pin in that. Because we'll talk plenty of Cal Kestis in a minute. But let's talk Mando trilogy. Let's read this report, okay? Let's get into it. Star Wars reportedly planning a new movie trilogy focused on the Mandalorian. This is just a rumor. These are my parentheses. Rumor for now. Star Wars often works in threes. Interesting. And this may also be the case for the upcoming return to theaters. Now, as much as Star Wars works in threes, it also works in twos. The rule of two, master and apprentices. That's about it. Okay. But it mostly works in threes when it comes to movies. Star Wars is reportedly ready to commit to a new Mandalorian-focused movie trilogy. Next year, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will make the iconic sci-fi franchise's grand return to the theaters. The Jon Favreau-directed epic, I certainly hope it's epic, is just one of several new movies planned from the galaxy far, far away. At this point, the franchise seems much more focused on one-off stories set in the Starfaring universe, rather than the trilogies as it's known for. At least that is according to Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. Now, we talked about what she said a couple weeks ago when she was in London. Maybe it was last week? I don't know. Time is a mystery. But I think it was last week, actually. She was talking in London about how they're doing a bunch of standalone movies that will build up what's coming next. And if it's a success, then it will turn into future projects. We're talking about Starfighter, and probably The Mandalorian is along that same route, but so is Dawn of the Jedi. With that said, Lucasfilm is reportedly already looking at the future for its most immediate theatrical release. According to a new insider report, the Star Wars brass sorry, I don't know why that made me laugh so much, is planning a new movie trilogy. Here we go. Centered around Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin, a.k.a. the hero from the hit Mandalorian Disney Plus series. Now, will Din Djarin himself be the main character of this trilogy? Will it be an actual Mando trilogy, or will that just be the name? Will it be an Heir to the Empire type thing with Grand Admiral Thrawn being the main villain, or will it actually focus on Din Djarin? I guess those are the questions we need answers. Pedro Pascal has become one of the biggest actors in Hollywood right now. I mean, he's doing everything from The Last of Us to the MCU as Reed frickin' Richards to Star Wars and a million other things. He was just in a movie with Chris Evans doing something, and then he was in that Nicolas Cage movie. He's in Game of Thrones. Like, he's in everything. He's in pretty much everything. So he's a big-time actor in Hollywood right now. If Star Wars was smart, they'd probably keep him around for a while. But if I were in charge, I probably would kill him off in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. But that's just because I think it's a great story to tell, okay? God. Known scooper Daniel Rickman shares the news on his Patreon page, writing that Lucasfilms sees next year's The Mandalorian and Grogu movie as the first installment of a potential, I don't know why I said it like that, a potential trilogy. However, whether further films are pursued relies on how well the first performs in the box office. So this is what it said directly. Lucasfilm reports that the Mandalorian plans to make the Mandalorian and Grogu movie the first installment of a potential trilogy. It depends on how well the film does. So, if it does make $1 billion, like many of us think in the chat, if it does make $2 billion, then yes, it will be the beginning of a trilogy. However, if it doesn't, if it somehow, even though they already have the hype and anticipation of the Mandalorian's first 3 seasons, they already have Grogu as the cute, fun thing for kids to go see. Somehow, it doesn't make money. It bombs. Whatever may cause that. It comes in with a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes before it even releases. Who knows? Callback. Then it will not be a trilogy. It will be a failed project, and we will be like, no. No, you did not miss the Jedi 3 talks. I'm actually saving it for after the Mandalorian and Grogu trilogy talk, so appreciate it. You've not missed it. But, as I was saying, if it does fail somehow, some way, then it will not be the beginning of a trilogy, which would suck. But as we look to the future, we're not talking about 1 trilogy. We're not talking about 2 trilogies. We're not talking about a 3rd, even video game trilogy, Jedi 3, which we'll talk about later. We're talking 4 trilogies. 4 trilogies. Now, before you go, Mike, you're an idiot. That's what you guys sound like to me, by the way. Some of you. We're talking Mando trilogy. We're talking Simon Kinberg trilogy. We're talking Jedi trilogy. And we're talking Dawn of the Jedi trilogy. I think the Rey movie is probably going to be somehow involved in that Simon Kinberg trilogy. If it's not the first of that trilogy, then maybe it's related in some sort of way. But Dawn of the Jedi, we talked about it last stream, has so much going on. It has so much going for it. It's 25,000 years before everything, and it's very highly likely to be the beginning of a new trilogy. So if we're really getting 3 movie trilogies and 1 video game trilogy, 3 movie trilogies at the same time, that would be absolutely insane. There's only ever been 3 Star Wars trilogies ever. If The Mandalorian and Grogu is the beginning of the 4th, that's the 4th trilogy in Star Wars ever! 50 years! And only 4 trilogies. 3 trilogies to date, but this will be the beginning of a 4th. That's pretty wild. But let's keep reading. At present, the only Star Wars project officially working under the assumption of future films is Simon Kinberg's planned trilogy, which, by the way, and it says assumed to be episode 10, 11, 12, which I completely disagree with. By the way, Simon Kinberg's trilogy was leaked or rumored, let's say, months ago. Months and months and months ago. Probably January. Maybe even last year. I don't even know. But then at Star Wars Celebration, Dave Filoni and Kathleen Kennedy walked out on stage and confirmed that the Simon Kinberg trilogy was happening. And nobody said anything. Nobody said boo. Nobody said nothing. That's crazy. Star Wars trilogies are very hard to come by. We just talked about how there's only ever been 3 of them ever made. And yet the Simon Kinberg trilogy gets officially announced at Star Wars Celebration, and nobody says anything about it. Now, granted, over the last month or 2, we've had quite a few things to talk about. Andor Season 2, the whole Battlefront 2 bonanza, which we'll talk about again today because it's still breaking records. There was a Fortnite Star Wars season, Tales of the Underworld, Star Wars Day, A lot of things happened. A lot of things were announced at Star Wars Celebration. Starfighter, Ahsoka Season 2 got some crazy news. Maul, Shadow Lord. We've had our hands full. But the Simon Kinberg trilogy is so important. The announcement of that being real, the confirmation from Lucasfilm that it is real, is unbelievably important. And I already see some of you in the chat, and granted, you are absolutely correct. It's possible that this never becomes a thing. They announce so many movies that never come to fruition, like Rogue Squadron, as Cannibal the Dragon said in the chat. You're absolutely right. They announce a lot of movies that don't ever happen, or at least haven't happened yet. So why would Simon Kinberg's trilogy be different? Well, there is a reason. Simon Kinberg has worked on Star Wars before. This is the guy who co-created Star Wars Rebels. And now, the other co-creator of that series, Dave Filoni, is seemingly going to be the CEO by the end of this year. At least, that's what the rumors are saying. So the guy who's chief creative officer right now could be co-CEO by the end of this year is the same guy who co-created Star Wars Rebels, one of the greatest shows of all time, with the guy who's getting a new trilogy. So as much as some fans would have liked to see a Rian Johnson trilogy, that didn't happen because, well, Rian Johnson got busy. And The Last Jedi was a very, divisive, to say the least. But when it comes to Simon Kinberg, the guy who's already worked on Star Wars, already co-created one of the best Star Wars shows, period. That guy, to me, seems like he'll be sticking around. And, as far as I'm aware, he doesn't really have much on his plate. So Rian Johnson is busy. Taika Waititi is busy. Donald Glover is busy. I don't think Simon Kinberg is. So I think his trilogy, if any of these movies are to happen, at least some of the ones that aren't already filming or going to be filming soon, it's highly likely that it will happen. But, I mean, maybe not. And I don't think it will be in episode 10, 11, 12, but you guys tell me in the chat, I guess. Everything else that has been announced as on or off cinematic stories. On-off cinematic stories, yeah, so I guess standalone features. The idea is that if there is more meat on the bone and audiences want it, then Lucasfilm will explore a potential follow-up. So if the first movie succeeds, then it will get a second and third movie. We've never seen this before in Star Wars, ever, when it comes to making a trilogy. This is not how it works. Rewind. George Lucas created the original trilogy, creates the original Star Wars. He creates 3 treatments for 3 movies. He makes the first movie because he was only given the opportunity to make 1 movie. And then when it was a success, then he gets to 2 and 3. So the studio itself made it so that if it was a success, he would get 2 more. That's not the case with what's going on now. They are purposefully only making 1 movie and then allowing more if the audience likes it. George would have loved to make 3 movies. He just didn't have the money, didn't have the ability to. But because of the first success of the first movie, he was able to do so. The prequel trilogy comes around, he's making 3 movies. Regardless of whether The Phantom Menace is an absolute bomb or not, he's making 3 movies. So this is really the first time we've ever seen anything like this in Star Wars. Making 1 movie to see if people like it, and if they do, then we'll make more. So tell me in the chat, do you like this plan? Is this a good idea? What do we think? Is this a good plan for the future of Star Wars content? Just make one-off movies, standalone films, and if people like it, then you do more? To me, I'm just not a big fan of this. I really am not. But tell me in the chat. Tell me in the chat. Carrie Beck's going to be a good president of Lucasfilm? I hope so. I hope so. Better than no plan at all? True. Yeah, I guess. Well, it could go many different ways. You could plan out an entire trilogy, and you plan 3 movies, you make this giant budget first movie, and it bombs. There's plans for more of it. There's plans for 2 more films. But nobody cares. Nobody cares about the first movie, so why would you make 2 more? So that could be an issue. Even if it is planned, then it might still suck or it might still bomb. So that could be an issue. Yeah. Darth Kunar, what's up? Disney could follow the Marvel strategy and have movies that appear as standalone, but also drop Easter eggs while building to a final arc. In this case, it could be Thrawn. Interesting. I kind of like that idea. That's sort of what they're using Disney Plus for, though. Like, that's why there's all these Mandoverse shows. They've been building up to Thrawn for quite some time. Mando Season 2, 3, Ahsoka. I even think Skeleton Crew with At-Atten is still going to be connected to Thrawn and his ability to become the heir to the Empire. But, yeah, there's a lot of things that are building up to Grand Admiral Thrawn and him being the heir to the Empire already on Disney Plus. So I don't really see them making a whole saga about Thrawn, especially because the sequel trilogy is an end cap. You run out of time. Yeah, I prefer a planned trilogy. But what if it bombs? Well, honestly, you can look at the prequel trilogy. Not that any of those movies bombed in the box office, but people would argue that The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones are not as good or not nearly as good as Revenge of the Sith. At least I would argue that. But Revenge of the Sith doesn't happen if they give up after 2 movies. You know, you don't get to Revenge of the Sith. You don't get to the great fall of Anakin Skywalker without seeing him as a kid first and then him as a teenager next. It is very interesting. I wish they wouldn't announce stuff so early on and it never comes to fruition. Yeah, well, that's a lot of just to, well, first get fans hyped up. Like, if we went to Star Wars Celebration and didn't get anything announced, then we'd be like, It's also, we're in a time where people's attention spans are so short. And it's crazy that you guys watch a 2-hour live stream alone. But people's attention spans are so short thanks to TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels that they want news and good news all the time. So if they're announcing stuff, and even if it doesn't happen, the announcement phase and the hype phase of people getting hyped up, whether it falls apart in the background or not, it doesn't really matter. Because you got people talking good news about Star Wars as much as you can. But I agree with you. I think when they announce a project, they really think they're going to make it. There's just things that happen in the background that stop that from happening. And we've looked at that graph before, or not that graph, that image before with Kathleen Kennedy as they announced all these projects back in like 2020, 2021 maybe. And the majority of those projects did come to fruition. They did happen, but a lot of them also, they did not. So, yeah. So, hypothetically speaking, if you say the Mandalorian and Grogu movie does poorly in the box office, which I don't believe it will be, does that mean no Dave Filoni movie? I don't know. I really don't. I think Ahsoka Season 2 will set up a Dave Filoni movie. Now, whether or not that Dave Filoni movie happens might be reliant on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which is kind of scary when you think about it. Because I think the Mandalorian and Grogu will be a success. Some of you in the chat do not, but a lot is riding on that movie. If we don't even get Dave Filoni's movie, that would be a disaster. You know? Because that'll be the whole heir to the Empire stuff in hopefully the middle of a trilogy. And it'll be Dave coming back to the movie theater for the first time in live action, and it'll give us this whole great arc of Dave Filoni-ness. He goes from being just a guy who made some episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender to co-creating Clone Wars with George Lucas, and then coming over to live action, or makes Rebels, comes over to live action with Jon Favreau and makes The Mandalorian, makes Ahsoka, and then comes to the big screen in live action with his own movie, which is Heir to the Empire with Grand Admiral Thrawn. It'd be the greatest arc ever for a animation guy. It'd be crazy. And then become CEO of the company. It'd be wild. But that's just, a hope of mine. Yeah. That would be tragic. We need air ASAP. Well, I think the problem is to set up Grand Admiral Thrawn, and I know we sit here as hardcore Star Wars fans, having either read Heir to the Empire trilogy or not, You still know who Thrawn is. You still know the character, all that stuff. So us being these hardcore Star Wars fans, it's kind of hard because we see Thrawn at the same level as other villains in Star Wars. I see Thrawn because he's so strategically genius. Even though he doesn't have the Force abilities, he's still up there with characters like Maul. I think Vader and Palpatine kind of live in their own place above Thrawn, but even still, he's close to that range. But Maul, Grievous, Count Dooku, all those prequel trilogy villains, even Kylo Ren and those guys, he's in that same realm. Even though he doesn't have the Force, even though he doesn't wield a lightsaber, he's still that good of a bad guy. He's above Tarkin for me. He's above Krennic for me. He's above all those other Imperial lords, if you will. So he's that good of a villain to me, to many of you, but to the normie fan, they don't know who the big blue meanie is. They don't really know him. And Ahsoka introduces him, but he needs to be reintroduced to the big screen, to the casual fans who don't know who the hell that guy is. Now, I certainly hope we get an Heir to the Empire trilogy, but only time will tell. Yeah. Timothy Zahn did such a good job with Thrawn. That Thrawn escapes the Legends dimension. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some characters that in Legends that need to come to live action. I know fans want Starkiller, but there's a difference between want and need. Thrawn needs to come to live action. That's a necessity. He's that good of a character. Not that Starkiller is not that good of a character. He's just way too overpowered. And Thrawn can be done. Yeah. Do you think any original trilogy characters will show up in any upcoming projects? I think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will be pretty clean from OT characters. Like no Luke, Leia, or Han. But Ahsoka Season 2... I mean, Ahsoka Season 1 gives us C-3PO with a message from Leia. I could see Dave bringing in Leia or Han, or both, for that matter, into this galaxy-wide war. It's Grand Admiral Thrawn versus Admiral Akbar. Think about how involved Leia, Han, and Luke, for the most part. Luke was kind of doing stuff with Sabaoth and Mara Jade and Talon Card and stuff, but think about how involved Leia and Han specifically were with that whole battle, with all of it. On Coruscant, with Mon Mothma, everything. They were so involved. So to have that battle happen between Akbar and Thrawn and not have Han and Leia involved would seem so wrong. So I really, really hope they do, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. Let's have some Lando. Yeah, let's have some Lando too. Why not? Why not? At this time, Lando has a child, and then later on, he tries to go find that child. Yeah. Solo movie actor for Han in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I don't know. We always talk the question of recast or deepfake. If they were to bring in Han Solo to either the Mandalorian and Grogu movie or Ahsoka Season 2 or anything, if Han was to show up in this post-original trilogy time period, would you rather deepfake or Alden Ehrenreich, the guy who plays Han in Solo: A Star Wars Story? Which would you rather? I'm curious. Because it would be very, very weird. It would be the same conversation we had with Bail Organa. It would be very, very weird to go from Alden as a youngin in the Solo movie to Harrison Ford in the original trilogy, back to Alden in this Mandoverse, back to Harrison Ford in the sequel trilogy. So I asked the question again. Deepfake or Alden? What do we think? Alden for the win, and Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker? Oh my. Get deepfakes out of here? Oh my God. Ahsoka was just a big cameo fest. I mean, the only cameo was Anakin, if you can call that a cameo. When in the timeline does Han Solo have a beard? Have a beard? What do you mean? Alden? Deepfake for me. Alden. Oh my God. Should we pull this up? Let's pull it up. Why not? This poll about the trilogy doesn't seem to be budging anyway. Let's pull it up. The deepfake trio is going to look indistinguishable from real next time we see them. I don't think that people really understand how much better the technology has gotten in a very short amount of time. I completely agree. I bring up this argument before I even put up the poll. So before I put up the poll, 2020, right? Yeah. 2020 is when we saw Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian Season 2, 5 years ago. And when you go back and watch that, you're like, yeah, it still holds up, but it's a little weird. It's clearly deepfaked. 1 year later, just about a year later, in 2021, late 2021, maybe early 2022, about a year and a month later, we see Luke Skywalker again for like 40 minutes in the Book of Boba Fett. And he looks so good. That was over 3.5 years ago. So if that gigantic improvement happened in 1 year, think about what happened over the last 3.5 years. Think about it. It would be, as you're saying, indistinguishable to tell if it was Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, or a mix of the two. Like, you wouldn't even know. Yes, that technology probably costs a lot, takes a lot of time, a lot of hands on deck, but it would look so unbelievably good. Think about, so it's a little bit different, but it's kind of the same. Anakin in Ahsoka. That was almost 2 years ago now. That's crazy. But that was about a year and a half, whatever. A little over a year and a half ago. Now, granted, they're de-aging Hayden Christensen like 20 years, and they're trying to make Luke look 40 years younger. There's a big difference there. But even still, Anakin in Ahsoka looks unbelievable. So good. And that's a year and a half ago. So the technology has gotten to the point where you can do the deepfake and it will look so unbelievably good. So keep that in mind as I put this poll up. Okay, let's do it. If Han Solo is in the Mandoverse, let's just say, at any point in the Mandoverse, who should, how do I phrase this? Who should play him? Who should play Han? I guess. Alden or deepfake Harrison? I'm just going to put Alden because I don't know how to spell his last name. Alden or deepfake Harrison Ford? You tell me. You tell Adam, what's up? What is up? AI is cheaper than paying actors at this point and less risky. Well, I'm sure they use some sort of AI in the making of it, but they brought back Mark Hamill. Like, Mark Hamill does those scenes in the Book of Boba Fett, and then they also do it with his sort of this younger actor who looks a little bit like Mark, and then they use the deepfake over both the performances. So it's still Mark Hamill. It's still Luke Skywalker. That's why I'm saying bring back Harrison. With Carrie, it's a little bit different because she's, of course, no longer with us, but they've already done Carrie before. Actually, twice. One in Rogue One and then one in Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. C-3PO cameo, Clone Wars cameo, Rogue Rebels cameo, Mon Mothma cameo. Again, Ahsoka was just a big cameo fest, but these are characters in the story, though. Like, the Rebels crew is these are the main characters of the Ahsoka series. So they can't be cameos in their own show. I will give you the Clone Wars, though. Yeah. That's like saying the main characters of a show are that's like saying Lando showing up in The Empire Strikes Back is a cameo of Lando Calrissian. Did anybody else love the fake young Indy in Dial of Destiny? Gotta be completely honest with you guys, still haven't seen Dial of Destiny. Still haven't seen it. Nope. Haven't even seen it. Indiana Jones 5 has not been on my list or at the top of my list for watches, so I can't say I've seen it. Yeah. Yeah. It's not how they look. Mark doesn't even sound the same. Oh yeah, Mark sounds very different. It's not just deep faking the face, it's deep faking the voice too. It's actually really cool when you watch the behind the scenes stuff on how they create it. Yeah. Definitely go watch that stuff. Give Alden some makeup and he could pass for Harrison. I don't know about that. Well, they could. That would kind of defeat the purpose. I feel like Alden is a somewhat high-paid actor, so if you deep faked on his face, that kind of doesn't seem likely. Yeah. Vision Vibes, what's up? How we doing? Appreciate you. Interesting. This poll right now says 56% of you say you'd rather Alden than a deep-faked Harrison. Still, 55 to 45. Very, very close. We'll keep that up for a little bit longer, see if things change, but we shall see. Okay. Oh, yeah, and AI. I mean, AI's gotten to the point where I could make myself sound like anybody. Anybody that I have a recording of, at least. So if I have a recording of your voice, like any character in Star Wars, I can sound exactly like them. I mean, go watch the video we did last week. The Clone Wars narrator at the beginning is me. It's me. So I can literally do any of that. That's the easy part. The voice is the easy part. It's the face. Yeah. Alden would have to wear stilts. He's like 5'9". Really? I didn't know that. I like both options, really. Well, yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong here, I don't think. I feel like most people would kind of groan and moan about Alden coming back, but also Solo didn't make a lot of money. It actually lost money. That would be definitely a big proponent as to why Lucasfilm probably wouldn't do it. But we shall see. Okay. But did we finish this article? Oh my God, how distracted did we get? Okay, let's go back to this. Where were we? So Lucasfilm reportedly plans to make the Mandalorian and Grogu movie the first installment of a potential trilogy. It depends on how the film does. Okay, here we are. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie comes to theaters May 22nd, 2026. Each day we get closer to this date. Actually, yeah, we are less than 11 months away now. Less than 11 months away. Start the countdown as the potential end of Pedro Pascal's Star Wars character and the Mandalorian franchise as a whole. The new movie, which was first being developed as the fourth season of the hit Disney Plus series, stars Pedro Pascal. Oh, yeah, by the way, let me clear that up. Because some people thought The Mandalorian Season 4, because Jon Favreau said The Mandalorian Season 4 was already written while he was doing Season 3. So some people thought that there was going to be The Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and then we were going to get Season 4. No. The fourth season has been turned into this movie. So there won't be a Season 4 of Mando. If anything, there will be a second movie in the trilogy. So no Mando Season 4, as of right now. Star Pedro Pascal and his adorable force-wielding companion. Why aren't they calling Pedro Pascal adorable? What the hell's up with that? As they continue their galaxy-hopping adventures across the Star Wars universe. Director of Iron Man, nice, Jon Favreau, The Mandalorian and Grogu, directed by Jon Favreau. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie stars Pedro Pascal along with newcomer to the franchise, Sigourney Weaver of Alien and Avatar fame. And the Bear breakout star, Jeremy Allen White, will be the voice of Stinky the Hutt. I know, that sounds like a made-up sentence I just said there. Sigourney Weaver in Star Wars and Stinky the Hutt being voiced by Jeremy Allen White. It's a weird universe we live in here. Very, very strange. Can I get some good cause follow orders in the chat, please? Bum-ba! Okay. But as I was saying, I just started watching The Bear, by the way. Pretty good show. I'm only on like episode 5, but it's pretty good so far. Why a Mandalorian trilogy actually makes sense. Let's see what they have to say. Well, Kathleen Kennedy has been very clear that the Star Wars universe is not to get ahead of itself with these theatrical plans moving forward. It actually makes a lot of sense for the iconic sci-fi brand would already be percolating on ideas for the Mandalorian and Grogu trilogy. Now, let's not forget that the guys in charge over there, the CCO, is Dave Filoni, the guy who co-created The Mandalorian. So it makes a lot of sense for the continuation of this story. But as Star Wars and Lucasfilm have floundered trying to find their footing back in the theaters, Pedro Pascal's chrome-domed hero has largely kept the brand afloat. Since they went to Disney Plus, The Mandalorian has been their biggest hit, by far. So over the last 6 years, you could argue that The Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin, and Grogu have been keeping this whole boat afloat, as they put it. Say what you will about the quality of each season that ensues in The Mandalorian, but the first batch of episodes in 2019 proved that Star Wars could work on a streaming service and kept the franchise in fans' hearts and minds, despite the lack of actual movies from the galaxy far, far away. So why not capitalize on the fan adoration? Sorry, that was adoration of the Mandalorian brand and step it up as the next trilogy ready. Next trilogy ready Star Wars brand. So, what's the better option? That's my question to you, Chet. What would be a better option than The Mandalorian for a trilogy? Simon Kinberg's trilogy we know nothing about. It could be a Rey trilogy. The Dawn of the Jedi trilogy, as much as that would be really, really good and hopefully really, really great with Mr. Willimon and James Mangold at the helm, it's 25,000 years before everything else. There's no familiar faces. It's all brand new characters, and it could end very poorly. The best option right now as a brand for Star Wars is The Mandalorian. Yes, exactly. People are scared of Rey. They don't like the sequel trilogy. They don't like the character of Rey. It's way more scary to go 25,000 years before anything. That's a huge risk. A risk I'm willing to take. But as a business, The Mandalorian's your best bet. So why not double down? Why not triple down and make a trilogy? Triple down. Why not? Is there a better option? You already have the Heir to the Empire trilogy in Legends, which fans love so much. So why not make a canon adaptation with these brand new characters that fans have fallen in love with that you created over the last 6 years? I'm very interested to see if you guys can come up with a better idea than that. I can't think of anything else. There's no other spot in the timeline that has a better story to be told. At least, I take that back. There's a lot of places that have a better story to be told. There's not a lot of places that have a more already proven story to be told. Because The Mandalorian is already proven. Yeah. But one of the biggest complaints about the sequel trilogy, that Lucasfilm's last 3 movies venture, was the lack of cohesion between the films and a feeling that the story was being crafted as it went rather than planned out beforehand. And that was very clear. I mean, they jumped directors from directors, writers to writers, and it was not planned from the beginning, clearly. Now, you can go back and say that neither was the original trilogy, and you're absolutely right. Dave, why do I keep calling him Dave? George Lucas! Dave Filoni, apprentice, master, George Lucas created the original trilogy. He had an idea, but things changed drastically. He did not go into A New Hope with Vader being his dad. He did not go into A New Hope, or even Empire, with them being siblings, Luke and Leia, that is. So things changed drastically over the course of the original trilogy. The difference is, that's George Lucas, and it worked. It worked very well. The sequel trilogy did not. Or it did for some people, but for the majority of people, did not. The jumping all over the place, lack of cohesion, it didn't work. So now, moving forward with Star Wars movies and Star Wars shows and Star Wars everything, things just need to be planned out. Or they at least need to feel planned out. And The Mandalorian seems to be the place you can do so. The Mandalorian and Grogu franchise would not necessarily run into that problem on the big screen. The same way that Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones lends himself to endless on-screen adventures, so too does Din Djarin. Because The Mandalorian works that way. Each season is just a new adventure for the characters. The first season is Din Djarin meeting Grogu and them going through that whole thing with Moff Gideon. Second season is him trying to find his way back to a Force user to drop off Grogu, which he successfully does. And the third season is them reclaiming his home world of Mandalore. Those are three completely separate adventures. Because that's what Din Djarin is. He's just a guy who can go off on an adventure. So the Mandalorian and Grogu movie could just be that, the next adventure in their chapter. But it could become something so much more, just like Indiana Jones. So instead of starting a new trilogy like episode 7 or episode 10, which it would be, and then having to plan out for episode 11 and 12 because it's the next trilogy in Star Wars, with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, you can just have one adventure, and the next one can come as it goes. Kind of selling me on this, not going to lie. But each film could potentially be a new creative team, sending Mando and Grogu on yet another one-off adventure, giving them another outlaw to chase. It would get pretty repetitive, but a treasure to find or Jedi secret to uncover. Just like the first season of their streaming show did with the problem of the week formula. Honestly, it would get very repetitive and boring if they did just a problem of the week with Din and Grogu for movies in the big screen. But if it was a trilogy and there was an overarching villain like Thrawn, and it got built up over time and became this Avengers Endgame level event when it came to an end. We've talked about it before, but at Star Wars Celebration, Dave Filoni literally said that he talked to and is planning out the future of Star Wars just like Kevin Feige did the early days of the MCU, the first 3 phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it makes a lot of sense that these Disney Plus shows have been leading to something greater. Possibly a Mandalorian and Grogu trilogy, because it's not going to work the exact same as Marvel. It's not going to be a Captain America movie here, an Iron Man movie there, a Thor movie there, and then they come together for the Avengers. They break up again, and they get a second movie, Avengers, third movie, Avengers. It's not going to happen like that. However, it's going to be pretty damn similar. Mando and Grogu get their own season. Ahsoka gets her own season. Skeleton Crew gets their own season. Book of Boba Fett gets their own season. And then they come together to take down Grand Admiral Thrawn. I don't know. It sounds pretty great to me. But tell me in the chat. Mando trilogy, yes or no? What do we think? George didn't plan. However, he made it work and it flowed. True. That is true. And it's one creator going the whole way. Like with the original trilogy, George Lucas, even though he didn't direct Empire or Return of the Jedi, he was in charge. He was the guy writing the story. He's the guy who did it. But I will say, yeah, I mean, I guess with the sequel trilogy, it wasn't that case. It was J.J. Abrams, then it was Rian Johnson, then it was J.J. Abrams. So that's 2 different minds trying to tell the same story. And they have very different ideas of that same story. With George, it was just one guy, one idea. He had help along the way, but it was still his idea. Yeah. Need more Neil in the future? I agree with that. So I'm seeing still a very mixed bag. Yes, no. Yes, no, no, yes. Neil. Star Wars and Neil Hope. Well, in the poll before, if I can find it. The poll. Where the hell was this poll? Oh, yeah. Do you want a Mando trilogy? 79% of you said yes, and 19% said no. Or sorry, 20% said no. 21%? It says 20, but math is not mathing. So almost 80%, 80-20, say yes, you want a Mando trilogy. I agree with you. I think it seems like a no-brainer. You've built up all these characters in the Mandoverse, from Din Djarin, Grogu, Ahsoka, all the Skeleton Crew people, all the Book of Boba Fett people from Fennec Shand, Boba himself, Chrysanthemum, all of them. You've built up all these characters. The foundation has been laid. It's time to bring them to the big screen and tell this drastic story about Grand Admiral Thrawn. And now, since all the heroes are set up, the first movie, well, I guess the first movie's about Din and Grogu, but you can introduce Thrawn as this big old threat. And then the second movie, I guess, the quote-unquote Infinity War to the finale being Endgame, the second movie, Dave Filoni's movie, could just be about Grand Admiral Thrawn. Like, not specifically just about him, but you know what I mean. He's the main character. Just like Thanos is the main character of Infinity War, he's not the only character in the movie. You get great fight scenes, but it's telling his story, him collecting all the stones. So you get to see Thrawn as he rises to power as the heir to the Empire, and then you get the final big old fight in Endgame level event in the last movie. Sounds like a great idea to me, but tell me what you think in the chat. All right, we do have to move on, though, because we got some Jedi 3 news, which I know a lot of you guys love to see. The Jedi games have become quite popular, to say the least. And we've been patiently, some of us impatiently, waiting for Jedi 3 and some sort of announcement as to maybe a release date or anything of that sort. And Cameron Monaghan, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Cal Kestis, has given us that update. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about Cal Kestis coming to live action. And it seems that many of you would agree with me when I say it seems like he won't be coming to live action until after his third game. So he's probably not going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, probably not going to be in Ahsoka Season 2. But then things get a little shaky. Then things get interesting. What if he's in the next project, or the project after that, or the project after that? When will Cal Kestis come to live action? And will Cal Kestis come to live action? That's a lot to talk about. But first things first, I almost just said say hi to everybody in the chat. We did that a while ago. Let's see what Cal Kestis himself, Cameron Monaghan, had to say. By the way, I just ended this poll. 49%, so almost 60-40. 60-40. 60% of you guys want Alden Ehrenreich to play Han in the Mandoverse, while 40% say deepfake him. Interesting. Interesting. All right, let's put this poll up here. Are you going to play Jedi 3? I know video games, yes or no. I know video games, they can go one way or another. You're either a gamer or you're not. And whether you've played the first two Jedi games, give me a 1 to the chat if you've played Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. Give me a 2 if you're like, no, Mike, never played them. Give me a 3 if you're like, kind of played them. I dabble a little bit. So 1 is yes, 2 is no, 3 is I dabble. We played through both of them. Actually, no, we played through only Survivor on the channel. But I played through Fallen Order before the channel was created. Interesting. Okay. So, but Jedi 3 is the third installment of this Cal Kestis trilogy. Rumors out the wazoo that Cal Kestis and Merrin will be coming to live action because of the Night Sister connection to Merrin and Grand Admiral Thrawn going to Dathomir at the end of Ahsoka Season 1. But Cameron Monaghan, let's see what he had to say. By the way, big old news in the Star Wars video game front as Battlefront 2 broke more records over this last weekend, which we'll talk about. So let's take a look at this. Cameron Monaghan provides an update on Fallen Order 3, Jedi 3, and its release date. Don't get hyped up by that release date part. He does not give us a release date.
I actually think that...
That is way too quiet. Hang on, let me see if I can turn that up. It's a quiet video, I guess, so just open your ears wider.
I actually think that there is a sniper with a laser pointer trained on my forehead right now, so I'm not able to divulge any of that. But I will say that video games take a very long time to make. So that's really about all I can say is that things will take as long as they need, and we would never rush something else. That's the most important thing, is making sure that it's of a certain level of quality. So, yes, unfortunately, I'm not able to do this for the rest of the time.
So, if you couldn't hear it, that was the max volume I could make it. If you couldn't hear it, he pretty much just said, well, first he said, there's a sniper pointing at my head if I say anything wrong here. But,
Actually,
sorry. But he goes on to say that video games take a long time to make, but they're making it, obviously. He doesn't want to rush it out because they don't want a bad story to be had, and that's exactly what we want to hear. He's pretty much saying all the right things. Let's be honest. He's saying all the right things that Star Wars fans want to hear. He's saying we're not rushing it because we want it to be great. We want the story to be great because the story is great. The first game, well, the first and second game are very different, combat-wise, but story-wise too, because you've got a bunch of Inquisitors. Inquisitors are in Survivor 2, but they're more so the villains of Fallen Order. So you got a bunch of Inquisitors. You see Vader at the end. You kind of die to Vader in the second one, but that's, I guess, a whole nother thing. So the first game came out in what year? Somebody help me out. The first game came out in a year. I forget what year that was. 2018? 2017? Around that time. Somebody fact check me on that. But I believe I'm pretty spot on when I say that the second game came out in 2023. Right? Help, chat, please. Anybody? So if it's 2019. Okay, 2019. That's a lot better. So 2019 to 2023, right? So that's 4 years. 4 years to make Jedi Survivor. Probably a little bit more than that, but let's say 4 years because there's 4 years in between the first two games. So that would mean the earliest, if we're using that math, the earliest we could get Jedi 3 would be calculating 2027. So 2027 would be around the same time where we would be expecting to see Cal Kestis in live action. Yeah, you're right. The Pandy probably did affect that. The process of making the game, for sure. So maybe it would take a little bit less long. But at least 3 or 4 years. It's already been 2. We're sitting in 2025 right now. So we're looking at least either 1 or 2 more years until this game is created. Now, this fully depends on how quickly they wrote the story, how quickly it happened. But 2027, at the earliest, seems to be a very likely opportunity. Now, when we look out at the upcoming Star Wars release schedule, in 2026 we have a pretty packed year. Maul Shadow Lord, Mandalorian and Grogu, Ahsoka Season 2, and that's all we know of. Probably another Tales of the Underworld or Tales of the something series. Probably some other short mini things like maybe a Visions or a... actually, I think they're Visions Night Sister spinoff, Ninth Jedi spinoff is coming out, right? So another thing like that, and maybe something else small. Video game-wise, I have no idea. But 2027 is pretty up in the air. We know Starfighter's in May, and that's about it. Star Wars Celebration 2027 is the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. It's in LA. It's going to be this big old thing. Tons of announcements. But I think one of those announcements, possibly the biggest one, will be Jedi 3. The way they focused on Jedi Survivor in 2023's Star Wars Celebration, the way they hyped it up, might be the same thing that they do at 2027's. Cal Kestis will be a huge part of it, and maybe, just maybe, they'll announce his live-action appearance as well. But it seems like we are still at least 2 years out from Jedi 3. And this update from Cameron Monaghan, although it's great, he's talking about how it's going fantastic, and the story, they want to take their time with it to make it really, really good. Video games take a long time to make. He's saying all the right things. He's giving us all the nice update we want to hear. He's not going, it's canceled! And he's not saying this will never happen. And he's also not spoiling the whole thing. But you can't sit here and tell me, actually, maybe you can. Let me ask you, do you want this guy? That guy sitting right there on that couch. That guy with his huge head on the screen. Not that he has a huge head. It's just really big because it's on a giant screen. Do you want that guy, Cameron Monaghan, to play Cal Kestis in live action? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat. Hoping for 2025? 2027. 2027 is going to be a big year. Well, think about it this way. 2025 has been a pretty big year for Star Wars. Andor Season 2, some people argue, is one of the greatest Star Wars shows of all time. Some even say it's the greatest piece of Star Wars content ever. But other than that, I mean, Star Wars Celebration, this whole Battlefront 2 stuff that's going on, Star Wars Fortnite season. Later on, we're getting Vision Volume 3 and Tales of the Underworld we already got. And it's been a crazy year already. But it's almost like a lull year. Last year, we got 2 live-action shows, 2 animated shorts. I don't even remember last year, Chet. But the year before that, we got 2 or 3 shows. Like, we've been getting 2 or 3 shows for a long time. This year, we're only getting one live-action show and a couple animated shorts. So next year, 2026, we're getting 3 big projects that we know of. In 2027, we're getting at least 1 and probably a bunch more, possibly even Jedi 3. So, yes, the next couple years for Star Wars content look absolutely insane. Yeah. Jedi series mirrors Rebels. I want to see Cal with the Rebels crew. That'd be pretty cool. Well, that's the big thing, too, is the gap, the time jump between Jedi Fallen Order 1 and Jedi Fallen Order 2 is what, 5 years? Is it 5 years? Because the first one, Fallen Order, takes place 5 years after Order 66. And then Survivor is 5 years later? I don't know. Somebody fact check me on that. But it would make sense that there would be another big time jump for the next one. Right? So it seems to me that we could actually get to see, Cal Kestis with the Ghost crew, or around that time period, what he's up to. And we speculated about this before, but Mace Windu, who knows? How crazy they will go will be pretty wild, but we'll see. We'll see. And yes, of course, many nice ponchos, for sure. Did you always match your droid's color with the poncho that you were wearing? I don't know. I gave, in Survivor, I gave him the greatest look ever. Yeah. Next year, I'd be 50. Nice. The big 5-0. Next year, I'd be 24. I'm old. Before she ages out, a Mon Mothma series or special we could finally learn about the Bothans. Sorry. Bothans. Sorry. I don't know. The Bothan stuff with the second Death Star, it's cool, but it's not like many Bothans died to get us this, okay? Great. But who cares? You know? Who cares about the Bothans? I don't want to see the horrible Bothans that we see in Heir to the Empire. I don't want that. I'm not a fan. They already got Xiono, or whatever his name is, from Star Wars Resistance. I don't want no Bothans making it worse. I would like some more Mon Mothma, though. I will give you that. Yeah. Yeah. Did I miss a super chat, though, when we were watching that? I think I did. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, I did. Okay. I Hodge with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. You guys are feeling extra generous today. This is my trilogy idea. In Disney, we know we're watching. We know you're watching. A Neil Hope, The Bubble Strikes Back, and Return of the Blue Guy. A Neil impression? Please, like what? Oh, like what? I get you. A Neil impression, huh? Like what? He's got such a high-pitched voice because he's a child. Remind me later. I'll do it towards the end of the stream. Okay. But, yeah, we definitely need some more of the Skeleton Crew. Actually, I saw this today. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Yeah, somebody posted this on the X, formerly known as Twitter, that says, this. Just remembered Skeleton Crew and how fun it was. Really hope we can someday get a second season of this. I think the perspective. Yes. Of At-Atten and the kids would actually be the best chance of making the New Republic feel interesting. It doesn't really work with the Mandalorian and Ahsoka. Well, I disagree with this last point, but because I like what they did with Ahsoka with Mon Mothma and the whole council and stuff. Mandalorian doesn't really tap into the New Republic too much, but I agree. I absolutely agree. Skeleton Crew kind of went away as soon as it ended, and it shouldn't have. Skeleton Crew was really, really good. I think it deserves a second season, and honestly, these characters deserve more time. Yes, we want more Neil, but we want more Fern, KB, and Wim too, and why not John as well? Who knows? Maybe he either gets captured by the New Republic and breaks out, or maybe he didn't even get captured by the New Republic and he somehow still escapes. I don't know. But I agree. I think Skeleton Crew either they maybe not a second season, or maybe a second season, but just their characters continuing in other projects. When Dave Filoni's movie was first announced all those years ago, back in 2023 at Star Wars Celebration, it was announced as a crossover event to be a culmination film of The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew. All those shows, projects, coming together for Dave Filoni's movie, meaning those characters, or at least the storyline itself, would play a role in making that story. So at Atten itself, that 1,113 or whatever it was, over 1,000 filled vaults of billions upon billions of Old Republic credits and an Old Republic mint to be able to print infinite amounts is so unbelievably important to the story moving forward. Grand Admiral Thrawn, to the rise of the First Order, like that stuff is important. Absolutely. But going back to Cal Kestis, because we just got all over the place there. Going back to Cal Kestis. So Cameron Monaghan gives us the update that it's still in development. It's still going. They're still writing the story, all that stuff. It takes a long time to make a video game, as he puts it. No release date yet. He's got the sniper to his head, so we can't really say much at all. But I will say, although it may be a few years off, the Jedi 3 game, the Cal Kestis story continuing, is very, very important. Because as I said before, would you guys like to see him in live action? I saw a ton of yeses in the chat. The reason they made Cal Kestis look so much like the actor, the reason they made all those actors really in those games look like the actor, because they plan on bringing those characters to live action. There's a reason Cameron Monaghan looks exactly like Cal Kestis, because he's coming to live action at some point in the future. Now, the big question that I have for you, chat, is where do you think he will show up first? What do we think? If you could have Cal Kestis show up in any upcoming project, or just at any point in this upcoming near future, where would it be? Because Merrin's involvement with being a Night Sister, Merrin having that connection, and Cal having gone to Dathomir multiple times, would be quite helpful in this fight against Grand Admiral Thrawn. So what do we think? In a video game? Okay, other than Jedi 3. Other than Jedi 3. Peridia. Interesting. I don't think so. I think getting to and from Peridia should be and is very, very difficult. Like Ahsoka getting there, she had to die first, pretty much. Like she had to go and die and then go talk to some Purgle and then hop in their mouths without knowing if they would take them to the right place. There's a lot that went into that. So it's not easy to get there. That's why I think that Ahsoka is stranded there. It'll be interesting to see how they play out them not coming back. Because if Ezra comes home and goes, I left them there, but they were still alive, then wouldn't they try to go send a rescue party? Wouldn't they? But I don't know. We'll see how Ahsoka handles that. But Cal Kestis showing up at that point in the galaxy during the Mandoverse makes a lot of sense to me. The only question I have is, will it happen before or after Jedi 3? Because if it's after, we'll have to wait at least a couple years until that happens. Tell me in the chat. Skeleton Crew was the best looking Star Wars ever. Wow, that's some high praise. I mean, it's got some very good cinematic scenes. One of the best scenes that I can think of is Ahsoka. This is in Ahsoka. Ahsoka running to fight Balen Skull, and it's the shot in the forest where you can see the eye in the sky. The Eye of Sion, sorry. The Eye of Sion in the sky. That's a great shot. But no, the Mandoverse itself has some pretty great cinematic shots. Getting Grogu going through the desert, and then it pans out to see Boba Fett watching. There's some pretty great stuff. But yeah, Skeleton Crew had a lot of that too. Nope, there's no way they can travel intergalactic space. Exactly. I don't think Cal Kestis finds his way to Peridia. Now. Oh, we're calling it the Grogu verse now? Wim saving KB was my favorite scene in the Grogu verse. Okay. Andor is the best looking Star Wars. Andor definitely had its moments too. I mean, that's the thing. So much of Star Wars in recent past has looked visually unbelievable. Say what you will about the story-wise of the sequel trilogy, some of the visual effects, special effects, are so good. Like the Battle of Crate specifically. Looks unbelievable. So, yeah. I'd like to see Cal Kestis and Merrin appear at some point in the Heir to the Empire, with Merrin torn over her loyalty between the Night Sisters from Peridia and the heroes. That would be incredible. That would be awesome. See, I think she's the key to winning this war because of her connection to the Night Sisters. Hang on, I'm losing my voice. Because of her connection to the Night Sisters, I feel like she's the key to winning the war versus Thrawn. She would be the only Night Sister magic wielding person that the Jedi would have on their side, or the New Republic would have on their side. And why not bring back another fan favorite Night Sister while you're at it? Asajj Ventress. All these characters that have been spread out through the course of the last 20 years in the galaxy, during the time of the original trilogy, you don't see Merrin, Cal Kestis, Asajj Ventress, Ahsoka Tano, the Ghost Crew, Grogu, Din Djarin. You don't see any of these characters in the original trilogy. But they've all been off doing their own things. Bo-Katan lost her home planet, lost the Darksaber to the Empire. We don't really know what Ahsoka was up to. She tried to train Sabine for a minute and then left. We don't know where Grogu was. We don't know where Cal Kestis was. We don't know where Merrin was. We don't know where Asajj Ventress was. But they were all off doing their own things. The Mandoverse has the opportunity to bring all those characters together, all those different relationships that they have, like Ahsoka and Asajj Ventress. But Ahsoka, or I guess Asajj, and Merrin being Night Sisters in this involvement of a war between Night Sisters and the New Republic and Grand Admiral Thrawn. So bring all those characters together, or back together for some of them, all of them back together after the original trilogy, even though they were all doing different things during it. It'd be pretty great. Were Cal and Merrin on their honeymoon during the original trilogy? I doubt it. But getting to learn what they were doing during that time period will be pretty damn cool. Yeah. Freak Zeke, what's up? How we doing?
Hello there.
Yeah. Indeed. They need to explain where Cal was during the original trilogy and why Yoda didn't sense him. Well, maybe Yoda did. Because Yoda sensed Ezra Bridger. Didn't say boo about him. There was another. And who knows what that is. There's a lot of Force users at the time. Where was Ahsoka? Where was Cal Kestis? Where was Ezra? Well, we know where Ezra was. Where was Balin? There's so many characters now that are in the Mandoverse and before the Mandoverse, or before the original trilogy, that were not in the original trilogy that need explaining. Where were they? You know? Episode 2 might be the worst looking Star Wars live action. Reminds me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Episode 2, you mean Attack of the Clones? I gotta disagree with that. The Phantom Menace, actually the upgrade from the Phantom Menace to Attack of the Clones is pretty crazy. Because you go from CGI sort of being just invented, pretty much, for the most part. But you look at Coruscant, in The Phantom Menace versus Coruscant in Attack of the Clones. It's like night and day. Night and day. Both those movies have obviously moments of looking horrible because they're older movies and using a lot of new technology at the time. But yeah. What if Marin dies in Jedi 3? Well, that would be a bummer. Well, that would be a big old bummer. Mike, where would I like Cal to appear? On some of your merchant? Well, that's impossible. Copyright stuff. This time, Quinlan Vos could sacrifice his life to save Asajj Ventress, whom he thought was dead. Quinlan's another character. Like, is he alive during the time of the original trilogy? Does he make it that far? We know he's involved with the hidden path. We don't know if he survived all that way. Jan, what's up? Do they really need to explain where these Force users were, though? It's not safe to assume that they would have helped if they were around. True, they don't have to explain everybody's absence, but at least tell us if they're alive. Like, there's so many characters like Cal Kestis, Marin, Asajj Ventress, Quinlan Vos that we don't even know. We haven't seen yet if they're in the Amandoverse. So those characters have to come to live action. Yeah. When do you think we'll get a Mando and Grogu trailer? I guess by the end of September. Zeb teaching Chopper scene is a must. Teaching Chopper? When will we get a Mando and Grogu trailer? September would be nice. At least by September. We are less than 11 months away. Still no teaser trailer. But we shall see. Call-ins. Yes. I'll open up the call-in stage. So if you guys are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. And in that Discord, there's a section called Call-ins, which I just opened right now. So if you want to do a call-in, come in and we'll talk some Star Wars. We could do that. You just got to raise your hand and we'll go from there. So I'll leave that open and try to keep my eye on it this time, in case anybody raises their hand and wants to talk. And then, yeah, we'll do some call-ins. For sure. Gotta know when Ahsoka met Luke. In the comics, he's been looking for a teacher between episode 5 and 6. Yeah, that does need to be explained. Because in Book Boba Fett, it doesn't seem like that's the first time they've been meeting. You know? It feels like they've at least had a couple of confrontations or conversations a few times before. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Okay. Cal Kestis. Okay. Wait, at the end of the last game, didn't he establish where the path was? Or was that just the lost planet that he found? Well, it seemed like in the last game, Cal was going to be heavily involved in the hidden path, like helping Jedi who survived Order 66 escaping the Empire. So if he's doing that, well, Quinlan's also doing that. But we also learned in Tales of the Underworld this year that Asajj isn't with Quinlan. So while Quinlan Vos is doing that with the hidden path, and so is Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Asajj is not involved in that. So even though Cal Kestis is, seemingly, it doesn't really mean that he'll cross paths with Asajj. But he could cross paths with Quinlan. It would be really cool to see Quinlan Vos come back, even if it's in just a video game, like Jedi 3. I'd be down for that. I got a feeling that Bode's daughter, I don't remember her name. Does anybody remember her name? Bode's daughter, the one that you sort of adopt or whatever at the end of Jedi Survivor, she'll play a pretty big role in what's to come next, I think. But we'll see. Yeah. I don't remember her name, though. Avatar 3? What about it? Mike. What if Marin and Cal are on their honeymoon on Alderaan? Oh, that would really suck. It would be pretty crazy if we got introduced to like a great character like Cal Kestis. We get 3 incredible games with him, and the 3rd game ends with him going like on a vacation or just going to Alderaan. And you just know that he dies. That'd be horrible, honestly. That'd be the worst. But that's what we thought would happen with Syril or Dedra. I mean, Dedra does end up in a prison, but we thought Syril was going to be get a promotion to the Death Star. would have been ironic. 50 Thunder with the very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that. It says, another attempt at Louis Primock from Solo impression, please. If this is the guy who sings at a really, really, really low tone, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I'm trying to keep my eye on the call-ins stage, so if you guys are trying to raise your hand, I feel like I should see it, so it's right over there on the other screen. What was his name again? I'm going to have to copy and paste this. Copy. Paste. Oh, no. It is. Okay. Wait. Okay. I think it is. Really? Okay. Oh, actually, that wasn't terrible. Hang on. All right. What's going on here? What is this? What is in this tube of liquid? What species is this in Star Wars, chat? It's so low. Crazy. All right, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the super chat. Crazy. Okay. Does somebody always have to die in these games? Well, kind of. I mean, there's a big death in the first game. There's a big death in the second. Actually, 2 big deaths in the second game. So it would make sense. My question is, will Cal still have that dark side in him when we see him again in the third game? Because you could go pretty crazy in the dark side Cal in that second game, and it would be pretty cool to see if we could get more of that. Yeah. Yeah. Mon Mothma deserves better? Wait, what? That Mon deserves better? Oh, that man deserves better. Syril, that is. Oh, speaking of Syril, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Okay. So, as you can tell in the title of this live stream, we talk about Andor Season 2. Oh, I forgot about that too. Oh my God, we got some cool stuff to get to here late in this live stream. Okay. So, this is what we got to talk about. Andor Season 2. Yeah, this. Okay. A version of Syril versus Cassian. That great confrontation in episode 8, I believe. In episode 8 of Andor Season 2 was almost completely different. So the title of the episode is Who Are You?, which is in reference to the line that Cassian says to Syril as he looks up at him and doesn't even recognize him. That's insane. But the line was almost completely different. Let's take a look at this article for a second. Let's take a look. So let me zoom in on this. The messier, the better. Here we go. How Andor created an epic, heart-shattering Gorman massacre. So I'm going to have to move this over. For the heart-shattering episode of Andor titled, Who Are You? Oh, that's really annoying. I have to zoom out. Okay. That's okay. Which brings the scene of rebellion galvanizing Gorman massacre. Editor Jan Miles, I guess, his mantra was, the messier, the better. What began as a peaceful protest amongst the people of Gorman turns into a slaughter incited by the Empire. Screams pierced through as flares, smoke, and death consumed everything. Chaotic, yet controlled flames. So let's not forget that episode 8 and 9, but episode 8 specifically, which we're talking about right now, is one of the greatest episodes of all time in Star Wars. And the final scene, the sort of end of this greatness, this uh, crazy event where so many people died, and Cassian's last scene where he's driving away with K2 split in half in the back of his tank. What was he even driving it? The tank, I guess. And Wilmon's girlfriend, who I'm blanking on her name right now, she's giving that message. If anyone can help us, can anybody hear us? That is like one of the craziest feelings I've ever felt watching Star Wars. During the live watch party, you just feel this insane emotion about these characters that you met like a week ago. Well, I guess Cassian not, but you know what I mean. And they pulled it off so unbelievably well. But this is where things get pretty crazy. So, 300 extras fighting for freedom and life, blah, blah, blah. All right. Let's get to the good part here. Here we go. Then the question becomes for Syril, who are you? It's posed during his hand-to-hand brawl with Cassian, the man he spent years chasing. In the scene with Who Are You, there was a lot of debate on set. Tony wrote it, Who Are You? Tony, director Janice, I guess, Metz, Diego, and the people around asking, are there any other versions where Cassian doesn't remember Syril? We did a cut, that was the question, we did a cut where he does remember him, and he says, it's you. And then Syril lowers the gun. Now, it doesn't say whether, I guess, he would live in that instance, right? The debate was quickly resolved in post-production. I told Tony I have another version, and he went, no, it's Who Are You? Interesting. Andor doesn't know the guy. He's a nobody. It's the worst thing that could happen to any of us, isn't it? You could be doing something for years and years, and one day you wake up and you're like, who the hell am I? What am I doing? That's life itself. Tony's words were, who are you? So that's how heartbreaking it is. Like, he spent years and years and years and years of his life looking for this guy, and he finally finds him, and he goes, who even are you? It's crazy. But if the line was, it's you, like they filmed in a different sort of version of the same scene, it changes the whole aspect of the show. First of all, he lowers his gun, and does he die? Probably still, because the guy who kills him is not Cassian, it's the guy behind him, the leader of Gorman. I can't remember his name either. But he's the one who kills him, so he could still lower the gun. He lowers the gun anyway. In the actual version in the show, he lowers the gun. But the line being changed from who are you to it's you changes everything, because Cassian doesn't not remember him. He remembers him quite well, actually, from that confrontation on Ferrix, his home. So I'm curious to see which version you like better, chat. It's you or who are you? I'm curious. I think I know what's going to win, but just let me know. Just let me know. It's you would have been insane. And then he gets shot in the head. But who are you? It works. It works so much better because it's like, it's just heart-wrenching. You're like, you feel bad for Syril. And guess what? Syril in season 1, I hated. I hated Syril in season 1. He's my least favorite character in Star Wars. Maybe not. There's still Sid. But he was one of my least favorite characters in Star Wars. He just sits there and eats Syril the whole time. But he's looking for Cassian. He's looking for Cassian the entire time. So when this whole payoff happens of him finally confronting him, and it happens that he goes, who are you? Feels so bad for a character I hated so much. Ugh, it's unbelievable. But that was pretty cool. I thought, the fact that they had a scene or a version of the scene where he said, it's you instead of who are you is so wild. Crazy. Yeah. Reminds me of how people might think that they are special, but most of the time, others don't even pay attention to anything you do unless you talk / engage directly. It's true. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of things that you do in your regular day where you're looking around like, did people notice that? Did people see that? Oh my God, are people going to, oh my, oh, what, nobody cares. Everybody thinks the exact same way. They always think about themselves for the most part. So when you're doing something, it's really like you're just doing it yourself. Nobody cares. Nobody else cares. Nobody else is paying attention. So for the most part, whatever you're thinking that other people are thinking, they're not thinking. It's not about you. You're not the main character. Luke Skywalker is. Your last name's not Skywalker. You're not the main character. Sadly. Okay? But it is pretty cool. Tony Gilroy hits the nail on the head with that. Yeah. Like when you stumble when you're walking. Exactly. Nobody saw that. And if they did, they're going to laugh at you regardless of whether you're thinking about it. Okay. The other thing I wanted to go into here, which is really cool, came out today, right before the live stream started, actually. StarWars.com did something really, really cool. So let's take a look at this. Actually, wait. What is our poll that's up right now? Will you play Jedi 3? Okay, we'll leave that up. Okay. Check this out. On StarWars.com, they just released this. Star Wars Galaxy map. The Star Wars Galaxy. Okay, Han Solo. The Star Wars Galaxy contains billions. Oh, hang on. Can't see that. You can't see that. Billions with a B of stars and is home of trillions of living beings on millions of worlds. That's a lot of billions, trillions, and millions. Governed over millennia of galactic history by the Republic, the Empire, and the New Republic. Interesting. Not the so-called Sith Empire or Sith whatever it was Sith reign. What we talked about last time? Or the First Order, or whatever comes next. The Republic, the Empire, and the New Republic all happen within the same 40 years. So in a galaxy that's over at least 25,000 years old, that's a long time. It's a long time. Another Mike who loves Star Wars. What's up? How we doing? But check this out. It's setting for countless stories of good versus evil. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get that. Check this out. The map of the galaxy. What? There we go. This is a complete canon map of the Star Wars galaxy that you can interact with. Check this out. So, what is this? Major trade routes in the galaxy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1. Those are the trade routes. All right, let's zoom in on this thing. Whoa. That's pretty. Look at all these freaking planets. All right, so we got deep core, colonies, inner rim, expansion regions, mid rim. Outer rim is over here on the right, but to the left is the unknown regions. Whoa, Jedda's right here, right near the unknown regions, kind of. All right, take a look at this. So let's start in the unknown regions. Why not? Octu, all the way out here in the unknown regions. Where's Exegol? Oh, Exegol's right here, all the way out there in the unknown regions. Ilum, I did not know there was an unknown region. All right, let's see. Where's Coruscant? Coruscant, big boom, right there. So Coruscant's right there. Tython is way deep in the inner core, or deep core, sorry. You got Hut Space right here. Pretty cool. Kessel's right next to Hut Space. This is crazy. So there's so many freaking planets. Aldani. Holy crap. I don't even know half of these, being completely honest. Did I say Bothan space? Bothan space? We were just talking about the Bothan. Okay. There's a spot in the galaxy I'm looking for specifically. There's Yavin. Dathomir. There it is. Okay. Check this spot out. All very, very seemingly close to each other. You have these planets. Dathomir, right there, which is where we know Grand Admiral Thrawn is right now. And pretty much right next to it is At-At. where's this found? This is on StarWars.com. They just posted this. So right next to Dathomir. How close can we really get? Oh my god. Wait, what? What happened? Wait down. Go back. So right next to Dathomir is At-Aten. And then, not that far south, I guess, of Dathomir is Mandalore. Oh, my head's in the way. Hang on. Is Mandalore. So these planets being very close to each other leads to quite the conflict coming up in the Mandoverse. Because if Grand Admiral Thrawn needs funding for his gigantic army, well, that's going to be found right there on At-Aten. Oh, by the way, okay, I forgot about the Collins. Melissa's got her hand raised. We're gonna bring in Melissa as Colin. We'll come back to this map in a second. Melissa, get on here.
On a sec, what's going on here?
Hello.
Hello there. How are you?
Hello there.
I just wanted to say hello to everybody and just say hi, really. And I love your stream. I think you're great.
Thank you.
Um,
I can ask you a question if you'd like.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, because we're staring at this map of all the planets in the Star Wars universe, what's your favorite planet in Star Wars?
Probably Naboo, because
Valid.
it's romantic and
Yeah.
we're Anakin and, you know, all that dreamy stuff.
I agree. Attack of the Clones gets too much hate. Have you ever played the Jedi games, or do you follow that stuff at all?
Oh, I've got all the setup, but I'm having hip surgery soon, and
nice.
hopefully I'm gonna learn how to play it all.
There you go.
I've got Battlefront 2, Battlefront 1, and Jedi Survivor, and some sort of Star Wars Lego thing.
Nice. Well, then I'll ask you one last thing. The Mandalorian trilogy. Do you think that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie should be the beginning of a new trilogy?
I don't know. I'm not sure how far they can take this, whether they'll take it, you know, fighting a big war and then going off and doing Mando and Grogu things. So possibly if they get the writing correct and the story right.
I'll take it. An Obi-Wan, possibly. All right. Well, I appreciate the call. Absolutely. I hope your hip surgery goes fantastic and you can play a lot of Star Wars video games.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
Of course. All right.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Melissa.
Bye-bye.
All right. I can disconnect you right there. Boom. Got it. Thank you, Melissa. Great first call in from Melissa. We can get some other people in here if you guys want. You just got to raise your hand. I see a bunch of you in the audience, but you got to raise your hand. But that's pretty awesome. Okay. Well, a lot of video games in your future, Melissa. Let's get back to this while we wait. I think this actually does show us something here. Mandalore being so close to Dathomir, that being where Grand Admiral Thrawn is, this being where Bo-Katan is, At-Aten being where all the money is, the fact that these two planets are right next to each other, that's on purpose. They just revealed where At-Aten was. They could have put it all the way over here. They could have put it all the way down here. They could have put it all the way over there and very far away from Dathomir, but instead they put it right next to the closest planet to Dathomir. You can't tell me that wasn't on purpose. So I think that Grand Admiral Thrawn is definitely getting his hands on that Old Republic mint, and that'll be the big first loss, Grand Admiral Thrawn, that the New Republic will take. Because the New Republic just took seas of At-Aten. They just took control. So them losing that to Grand Admiral Thrawn will be a big old loss. Yeah. But that's pretty cool. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Can we? Here we go. What else are we looking at over here? Hut space. You got Nal Hutta right in the middle, of course. Where's Tatooine? Does anybody see Tatooine on here? I don't see it. Oh, Tatooine. Where the hell's Tatooine, Chad? Is it not near or in Hutt space? Am I blind, Chet? Or is Tatooine not on this map? Usually Tatooine is bottom right. Okay. Bottom right. I am not seeing this at all. Maybe if we find Naboo first, because it shouldn't be pretty. Hey, there's Narkina. That's where prison was. Bottom right. Bet you you're all like, Mike, it's right in front of your stupid face, and I'm just not seeing it. I don't see it yet. Well, it's not in Hutt space, which is interesting, because Jabba the Hutt ruled over for so long, and all the twins were pretty upset about it. But it's really cool that you see these hyperspace lines. You got these big old highways, pretty much, in the Star Wars universe that go from there to there and all the way back and around. Not really one that goes out to the Hutt space, though. It's really bugging me that I can't find Tatooine right now. Not gonna lie. More to the west. Oh, there's Mustafar. Maybe Tatooine just doesn't exist. Maybe it's a figment of our imagination. There's Bespin. There's Hoth. Am I looking right at it? I love how the High Republic further explained hyperspace. Oh, yeah. The High Republic goes into a lot of that stuff. Yeah. I want Thrawn to make a claw craft. What the hell does that even mean? Your mouse was on it? Oh, no. Where is it, Chet? Utapau. Dagobah. There's a load of barnacles. Where is it? Oh, I thought this was Donnie. Like, so many of these planets I've never even heard of. Shows how much I know about Star Wars. God. Why are some of them, like, not circles? Like, what is that? Where is it, chat? It's close to the pink? Okay. Close to the pink. I found it! It's right next to Geonosis. Oh my god, it's like right on top of Geonosis. Found it. Oh, there's Scarif too. Huh. So it's pretty far from Hutt space. I wonder why Jabba went there. Literally right on top of Geonosis. So these, like, Ryloth is way out here. Huh. The more you know. It kind of makes you watch the Clone Wars a little bit differently. Because you're like, dang, when they go from Coruscant to Ryloth to help out, they're going pretty far. Like, really far. I love how Coruscant's, like, just the main hub over here. There's Alderaan. The Dawn of the Jedi, hopefully, if it stays sort of close to the canon, or at least close to the story that came before, will likely be mostly on Titan, which is pretty cool. Okay, well, that was pretty cool. If you want to go check that thing out, it's on StarWars.com right now. It just sort of came out today, I believe. It doesn't have the other galaxies. So that's the coolest part about Ahsoka, too. This is the known Star Wars galaxy. We're looking at all these different planets. Oh, what's that? Oh, corporate sector? What? Where's Morlana 1? Interesting. So, when you look at all these planets, all these different planets in the unknown regions that we haven't even found yet, but all these planets over here, Ahsoka just introduced a brand new galaxy. A brand new other one of this. So just take all this and double it. That's what Ahsoka just introduced to the Star Wars galaxy. Crazy. Crazy. But that's pretty cool. So if you want to go check that out, I'll send the link to the Discord right now, actually. So if you want to go check that out, go join the Discord. If you're already in the Discord, then I'm sending it right now. Let's do that. Paste. Boom. There you go. All right. But I do have to get on out of here. This was quite the stream, if I do say so myself. Shout out to Melissa for doing the call-in. Yeah, we got to do call-ins more often so you guys know what to do. But I appreciate it. We talked some Jedi Survivor, or Jedi 3, I guess. Cameron Monaghan gave us an update. And The Mandalorian and Grogu possibly being a trilogy. There was a few other things I wanted to get to, but we can save them for Thursday. But until next time, smash a freaking like on the stream if you have not already. How many likes do we have? Oh, what? Okay. How many likes do we have, chat? Am I going to be upset? Actually, no, that's a pretty good amount of likes. That's a pretty good amount of likes. I appreciate that. Was there something else? Oh, yes. Battlefront numbers. So this is what happened over the weekend. This is what happened over the weekend, chat. Look at that. It just keeps on going up. This keeps on peaking. This game is blowing my mind. I thought it was just going to be a one weekend thing and it would just go away and nobody would talk about it ever again. But no, it just keeps on going up. This is... Wrong button. This is absolutely insane. It just keeps on going. So, Battlefront 3 seems like it'll probably happen at this point, but I guess only time will tell. But until next time, I'll be probably playing some Battlefront 2. But smash a freaking like on the stream if you have not already. Hit that subscribe, hit that bell, get notified. And may the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. Oh, I didn't end that poll. Hang on. Do you guys, or are you excited for Jedi 3, or will you play Jedi 3? Sorry. 62, sorry. 62% of you said yes. That is pretty epic. I can't wait for that game. Hopefully it's going to be really, really good, and we'll get Cal Kestis in live action, and all our hopes and dreams will come true, and Marin will be the key to taking down Grand Admiral Thrawn. But this Mando trilogy could also involve Cal Kestis. But I guess we'll just have to talk about it some more next time. Where's Sam? She started her new job today. So let's get some congratulations for Sam on that. But she will be on a live stream very, very soon. We just talked about how she hasn't been on here in a while. And the fans miss her. You guys miss her. And you know what? She should be on the streams more often. We got to get a secondary microphone so she can be on it. But we'll see. We shall see about that. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening. Great rest of your lives. Wow. Adam, that's just mean. And good night, everybody.